Will the virtuous Sangha, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tặng thịnh, vì thứ pháp hồi cấp nhất thiết chúng sanh, thiên chuyên diệu pháp luân giáo đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát tư lý khổ đắc lạc, tất chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Namo Saranto Sucheroye Alahudi San Miao San Potosye. Namo Tadakta Toya Daya Alahade Tamio Tambo Datoa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu sheng sheng she wei miao fa, bai jie wan jie nan zao yu, wo jin jie wen de shou chi, yuan jie ru lai chen shi yi. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Jingliang, Venerable YongHua, Venerable Helpful People, and all good new advisors, Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、精良大士、师父上人、各位主持人、各位上知识、Emitofuo. Chư Phật Bồ Tát kính thưa Hòa Thượng Thanh Lương, Hòa Thượng Tian Guo, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Today is the 3rd of April, 2021. We are gathered here to continue discussing the preface to the Avatamsaka Sutra written by Venerable Jingliang. All right, welcome all, and thank you all for coming. We are now on slide 173. It's discussing, we are in the midst of discussing the perspective of the Buddha. Then the Buddha, in all his wisdom, opened his Buddha eyes and sees the structure of the universe, how this universe that we live in, how it's structured. So what he's doing, what is happening here is you are learning about some perspectives of what he wants to teach us. Okay? And this is all that we get from him at this point. Sometimes it's just like you are in kindergarten, you only get to hear the kindergarten materials instead of getting the PhD level type of materials. So he's basically saying that the world, the smaller structure we have is a small world, which from last time we talked, last week we talked about, is that in this center, this world is Mount Sumeru, the tallest mountain, okay? It's surrounded by 4 continents on both sides. And the Mount Sumeru is encircled by 7 fragrances. Okay, this is what we're learning. And then it has a sun and a moon, and that's basically the composition of a small world. Okay, that's a first unit, like let's say a family unit, if you will. Now going to next level. Okay, we have as in so the concept of world here. Okay, is from a Chinese word "shu jie." It means a place where living beings dwell. Okay, that's where you can find living beings. Okay, so the structure of the world is in order to sustain life, the lives of living beings. All right, and the concept of world also means it's evolving, it's changing. Okay, there's a time concept. Shu is in Chinese has a changing concept. So it's a connotation of time, the past, present, and future. And also, Shu is the first character. Jie is actually the position of the place in the cosmos. Okay, so the position here denotes direction. It could be east, west, southwest, northwest, etc. Okay, so world here is actually a location that happened in time, because the world does not exist forever. The world evolves. It's born, like the Catholics learn about that. It's through their Genesis type of concept. The world actually is born, and then it dwells, and then it evolves, it decays, and then it disappears. Every single world is like that. Whether the world is Pure Land or Impure Land, they all have a lifespan. Okay, albeit the Pure Land worlds, the Pure Lands lifespan are longer than the impure lands in general. Okay, so we explain the concept of small world. Okay, this place here in a cosmos, and then you group 1,000 of these small worlds. You make it a small 1,000 small worlds. That's what they call in the next unit. Okay, is 1,000 small worlds. You take 1,000 soul worlds, you get a middle 1,000 worlds. Okay, and then you have a great 1,000 worlds, which is the Buddhist jargon for it, which is 1,000 middle 1,000 worlds. So the Chinese word is called 3,000 世界, is 3,000 worlds. Okay, it's because they don't have the concept of exponential, I guess. So they call it, everything is 1,000 times 1,000. Okay, so the 1,000 world here is a galaxy. 3,000 world is called a galaxy, or known in Buddhism as a Buddha land, meaning that when you practice the Buddha path, okay, the Bodhisattva path, okay, and you reach a certain level, you start thinking about when you become a Buddha, the Bodhisattvas, when they practice the Bodhisattva path, as in their practice, when they reach a certain level, they said, I owe so many living beings. It's thanks to them that I got where I am today. Okay? So I need to do something to pay them back. You see, what happens to the Bodhisattva is that when they realize they owe something to someone, they intend to pay them back. They don't just take and take and take. That's the difference between Bodhisattvas and the rest of us, whether it's you an arhat, a sound hearer, or a regular person, ordinary person. We take, we love to take, because our mindset is if we don't, someone else will. Okay? Bodhisattvas are different. They don't take at all. They only take in order to get into depths. That's called wisdom. Confused people, they take because they think it's to their advantage. They think it's beneficial to them. Okay? Whereas the Bodhisattvas, they take in order to benefit others. And ordinary people take to benefit themselves. Bodhisattvas take to benefit others. In what way? In a way that when the Bodhisattva takes from us, he's basically are saying, I take it from you so that I owe you. Meaning in the future, I will pay you back, plus interest. Until I pay you back, my debt I owe you from taking a grain of rice from you, from taking $1 from you, is that it accrues interest until it's paid back. Okay? And the Bodhisattva knows it full well. The Arhats, Hinayana Arhats, they realize that, yes, when you take from someone, then you owe them, therefore it's disadvantageous to you. Because the Arhat says, I don't need anything. I'm perfectly fine under my trees. I'm perfectly fine in my cave. I'm perfectly fine in the mountain where I can live my life without owing anything to anyone. Because it doesn't matter anyway. Everything is empty anyway. So that's why the Arhats who really have wisdom, they don't want to take anything from you at all. Okay? Because they're not interested in fame and profit. They don't want to be more known so that more people will come and bother them. And they don't want any more money because to them money doesn't mean anything. Temples mean nothing. Cars mean nothing. Love means nothing to them. Okay? They see everything as empty. That's called having wisdom. When you see things as important to you, okay, that's because you're confused. You're confused by appearances, right? Whereas, for example, you go to universities and you're confused by the degree they give you. Okay, the true bodhisattvas, the people who have wisdom, they're not interested in worldly recognition at all. Okay, and that's called wisdom. That's first level wisdom. Okay, the first true level of wisdom is that you're detached from external things. All right. However, the next level of wisdom is the wisdom. The first level of wisdom is the wisdom of the sound hearers, the people who Hinayana people in general. Okay, and when they continue to practice, open the wisdom further, you open the wisdom at the level of the bodhisattvas eventually, where you understand is empty, but also not empty at the same time, meaning that it's empty to you, right? They're not as interested in fame and profit as we are, okay? However, they know that to you, those things matter. Fame matters, profit matters, and therefore they can accept both. They said, to me it doesn't matter, but to you it does. So meaning that I will choose to take from you. I will choose to owe you so that I know it will keep on exploding, increasing exponentially. Okay? I take it from you today. By the time I see you again, $1 probably becomes 1 million, 10 million, because you'll be revolving the wheel for a long, long time before we get to see the Bodhisattva again. So they know that when they take from you, they owe you big time. Okay? And they still choose to take from you in order for you to accrue blessings. That's a different kinds of mindset. All right? So that's why the Bodhisattvas, when they practice the Bodhisattva path, they realize they owe to a lot of people, who eventually said, it's about time I do something for these people. How? By creating a world when I become a Buddha, where I can bring these people to whom I owe so much during my path, a practice in the past. I owed it to them. In order for me, when I was a monk, they came to my temple and they gave me a bag of rice. Okay? That is worth, in 2021, it's about $50 for 50 pounds of rice, I heard. Okay? It's been a while, okay, for me. So when they accept a bag of rice, meaning that they owe this person $50 worth, okay, in 2021 dollars, okay, and million years later, that's worth probably around $1 million, okay. Now they owe this person $1 million. How are they going to pay them back? They pay them back by creating a world, a Buddha land, so that when they become a Buddha, these people then will then come to be reborn in their Buddha lands so that they can get paid back. So far, so good. I don't know about you, but when people owe me money, I make sure I remind them wherever they are, write them emails, send them letters, okay, call them, text them, remind them that I like to be paid. Yes or no? That's called karmic forces, meaning that wherever they are, I want to go towards them and reclaim their debts to me, plus interest. And that's why this is the ingenuity of the forces, the karmic forces, in that when the Bodhisattva owes us, they know that it's easier for them to gather us into the Buddha land so that we can reclaim our credits, their debts to us. Okay, so that's why the Bodhisattvas, when they reach a certain level of practice, okay, they start thinking about what kind of Buddha lands they would create when they become a Buddha. Each person who becomes a Buddha will create his own Buddha land. You see that? This Buddha land here is like the Milky Way is a Buddha land of Shakyamuni Buddha. Okay? So the Bodhisattvas, they think about, I want to create a world where I have a chance to pay back all these people who've been helping me, all these living beings who have been helping me. That ox has been tilling the field for me when I was practicing on the Bodhisattva path. Okay, now I can bring that animal over to my world and pay the animal back. Bring all these people I owe money to and pay them back. That's how it works. So far, so good. So that Buddha land here in our language is called a galaxy. Okay, and so as you can see, each Buddha has his own Buddha lands, and we have innumerable Buddhas in the universe, and more Buddhas to realize in the future. And you can see this universe actually is constantly increasing in Buddha lands. It's expanding, if you will. Okay? So far, so good? So that's a cosmos that the Buddha himself sees. He opens his Buddha eyes and see, wow, there's a Buddha land being formed right there. Then non-Buddha land that's disappearing, is being destroyed, okay, and so forth. So that's what he's sharing to us, okay, this vision of Buddha lands and how the universe is structured by Buddha lands, how the Buddha lands are gathered together by some forces as well, okay, in layers upon layers upon layers of Buddha lands. Okay? Questions or comments? You too. Go ahead.
Tian Guo asks, Master, is it possible for the Bodhisattvas and Arhats to pay you back in the form like a parent or child in a way unrelated to cultivation, or do they only pay you back by crossing you?
What do you mean, paying back by what? I don't understand the question.
The question was, do they only pay you back by crossing you?
By crossing legs? What?
No, not just crossing you.
Crossing you. Oh, there are many ways to pay you back, but eventually the highest form, the ultimate form of paying back is to help you escape suffering. Okay, because what happened is that just think about it. When people give you $5, okay, that $5 is earned with the blood and sweat. Is earned with their suffering. You know, when we in our world we make money by sacrificing our health. We pay with our money, our salary, our income through the loss of our health, through suffering, through pain and suffering, through grief, through afflictions. Okay, and so the real denomination behind the offerings, whether it's a bag of rice, whether it's $5, is your blood and sweat. It's your suffering. So that means that the Bodhisattvas ultimately, yes, he'll pay you back in money, in terms of a job, in terms of a house, in terms of a wife, in terms of children, okay? But all those are temporary. The ultimate payback is to help you end all your suffering together. All right? So depending on the amount of credit you have, how quickly you end your suffering depends on how much you have, how much the Bodhisattvas owes you. Okay? So the short answer is they're trying to cross us over because that's what the ultimate denomination for all the debts is. All debts incurred, the money you owe, the assets you owe are through your suffering, through your hard work. All right? Any other questions? Okay, so 174. So that's a cosmos right there. As we delve into the Avatamsaka Sutra a little bit later, meaning a few more decades, okay, it'll be clearer. We learn more and more about the universe itself. Okay, so again, this is just a preface. We're getting just a appetizer of what's to come. Okay, so this is how fascinating it is. This is the knowledge about the universe that unless you're Buddha, you will not be able to know. You will not be able to see. You will not be able to comprehend. All right? And that's typical of Buddhism, Buddhist knowledge. Buddhist knowledge is based on observations of the truth. Okay? Meaning that when you become a Buddha, and you're able to see with your Buddha eye, you see how things are causing each other to happen, and you see how worlds come to being. That's why the Buddha says, okay, this is what's happening, and you should know about that. And eventually, you yourself, when you practice the Bodhisattva path, someday in the future, you also will see it for yourself. All right? It's not simply theory. It's not like the philosophers nowadays in the universities, they make up more theories upon theories. What the Buddha says is based on actual observations. Okay? He sees all these things happening. That's why he says, you should know about these things, and you should verify it for yourself. That's what Buddhism is about. Buddhism is not about theory. It's not about knowledge. Okay? Buddhism is about wisdom. If you understand the real truth, what's happening in the universe, okay, then you cause less suffering for yourself and the people around you. You see, the reason we make others around us suffer is because of ignorance, because of our stupidity, because of our greed, because of our anger, our stupidity. Okay? And that's because we don't know better. The Buddhas have wisdom. The Bodhisattva has wisdom. That's why they don't cause suffering. They cause a lot less suffering for us. And actually, they have a way of, they know how to teach us, to help us cross over by ending all sufferings and be just like them. Right? 174. Text, item number 9. Grateful, rejoicing at the encounter. You see, this Bodhisattva, Venerable Jingliang, has incredible wisdom. His teaching is very difficult. That shows you the kind of wisdom he has. The text says, hence the Bodhisattva sought the secret in the dragon's palace. Great worthies had it published in the Eastern Expanse.
是以菩萨搜觅于龙宫，大贤阐扬于东夏。
175, commentary. Hence the Bodhisattva sought the secret in the dragon's palace. Okay, this refers to one of the patriarchs, one of the Indian patriarchs, Venerable Nagarjuna Bodhisattva. Okay, Nagarjuna is Sanskrit for dragon tree. Okay, he's actually a fourth ground Bodhisattva. Fourth ground Bodhisattvas are the fourth level enlightenment in Buddhism, where your specialty is in worldly, is in knowledge. Okay, fourth ground Bodhisattvas are very, very erudite. There used to be a fourth ground Bodhisattva alive in the U.S. Okay, his name is Mandy Hall. If you look up his name, Mandy Hall, he founded something like the Philosophical Research Society, somewhere here near downtown Los Angeles. Okay, and he's very erudite. And he wrote a lot of books. Okay, among which about Buddhism, about asceticism, about all kinds of non-Buddhist practices as well. Okay, so the fourth ground Bodhisattva specialize in knowledge. They're very, very erudite. They're not afraid to acquire knowledge. It is said, for example, that Mr. Mandy Hall, fourth ground Bodhisattva, he would pick up a book, okay, and he would know, he would read the book very quickly and would understand the contents of the book, like that, okay. So that's why the fourth ground Bodhisattva specializes in worldly knowledge, acquiring worldly knowledge. Yes, question?
Since you told us about Mr. Mendiho, I was curious and I looked up some of his work. And
Yes.
He explained a lot of very interesting topics like the lost world of Atlantis, etc.
Right.
Like if he is a fourth ground Bodhisattva, does it mean all those interesting things he explained are like true?
No, knowledge is not necessarily the truth. Worldly knowledge is not necessarily the truth. Okay? Worldly knowledge is what the people in the world know. Okay? They develop an understanding from the worldly perspectives. Okay? So he's specializing in that because for someone to practice, for example, what are some of the externalist practices? Mansonites, for example, they gathered the knowledge, the worldly knowledge they acquired, they developed, was over a long time period. So for a person to even acquire the Mansonite knowledge, it takes a long, long time. Whereas this fourth ground Bodhisattva, they could acquire just like that, very quickly. Okay, that's why Mendiho is extremely, extremely erudite. He can study these things and master them very, very quickly. Alchemy, he could study them and master them like that because that's what interests them. He's advancing the worldly knowledge. Case in point, they're very useful. Think about it. For example, in Chinese culture, we have something like I Ching, that's worldly knowledge. Okay? Or physiognomy, Asian physiognomy is worldly knowledge. What about medicine? Worldly knowledge. Okay? Medical science is basically worldly knowledge. So the Bodhisattvas, they specialize in advancing this thing here because it's beneficial to us. You have to recognize that. Okay? So the Bodhisattva realized that, yes, there's some point in time, I want to help them build a better world. So that's why they came to our world and became the yellow emperor who invented Chinese medicine. Okay? Or they go and become an engineer and design something. Advance the world of engineering, of architecture. That's what they do, okay, in order to benefit the world. Okay? However, so at that fourth level of enlightenment, these bodhisattvas would appear in the world to benefit others. Okay? For example, I heard rumor has it, my late Chinese master is actually used to be one of the Chinese externalists. He invented some sort of physiognomy or predictory thing. So 鬼公子, I don't know what is the Chinese. 鬼 is 鬼, 公子. Yeah. 鬼公子. Yeah. Master Xuanhua was one. Was Gui Gongde, and that guy is like into prediction or whatever. So Master Xuanhua also, probably at that point in time, was a fourth ground Bodhisattva. Okay, so they keep on coming back and help increase our knowledge. Okay, so not uncommon, for example, for the Bodhisattvas, some Bodhisattvas that come back here and help us become more knowledgeable about investing, make more money. Why not? Okay, if that's important to you, they will help you. All right. In particular, I was particularly impressed because by Mandy Hall, because my late, one of my early teachers was at Long Beach Monastery was Master Heng Cha, who introduced me to Mandy Hall. And he says, so he would bring us to Los Feliz, the exit there of 5, and to his Philosophical Research Society, PRS, and look at the materials there. And you go in there and you see Buddha statues in the courtyard. Okay, they're very erudite people, so what interested me was that he says, if you want to practice Buddhism and you want to become enlightened, you have to read my book on enlightenment. Okay, so he wrote a book about Buddhist enlightenment. Okay, and they're very cheap. I think like you can get a PDF format, PDF file for around $10, more or less. Okay, and so he says, I know about Buddhist enlightenment. Okay, and I never had a chance to read it because back then we couldn't. I didn't have money to buy that. The book cost too much. So years later, I came back and bought the PDF file, and for $10 or something like that. And I looked at it for a few pages. I said, no, I don't want to read this. This is ranks among worldly knowledge instead of Buddhist knowledge. Because what does a fourth round Bodhisattva know about enlightenment? Not much. That's why they specialize in worldly knowledge. The worldly knowledge is a lot more shallow, lacks depth, whereas Buddhist enlightenment is not something that fourth round Bodhisattva specialize in understanding. So anyway, going back to slide 175. Okay? Again, you don't take these things lightly because any discipline that you talk about, whether it's physiognomy or whether it's architecture or engineering, you can easily spend your entire life. You can devote your entire life in order for you to master it. But these fourth ground Bodhisattva, they have so much wisdom, they have so much brain processing power, they can master many, many disciplines very easily and even advance them further. That's a function of wisdom. Practical wisdom is not beyond advancing worldly knowledge in order to benefit living beings. All right? However, this fourth ground Bodhisattva, this Nagarjuna here, whose level is called ground of blazing wisdom. You see, blazing wisdom. The wisdom that is so shiny, is so brilliant. It's brilliant because it's recognized in the world. Okay? The wisdom is so brilliant because worldly people recognize it. Okay? Are impressed by it. All right? So this fourth ground Bodhisattva, what did he do? Instead of going into worldly knowledge, he says, what is the knowledge that I can bring to this world here to make an impact? So he says, the best knowledge, instead of going to worldly knowledge, I will go down to the Dragon Palace where the Avatamsaka Sutra was kept. Because what happened is the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, spoke the sutra, and then it was later recorded by Manjushri, and then was brought to the Dragon Palace to worship, to be worshipped, because human realms are not worthy to receive it or understand it. And that's why it was kept in the Dragon Palace. So Nagarjuna says, what is my impact of this world? Being a patriarch. In Buddhism, I cannot go to worldly knowledge. I my role then is to bring back the ultimate knowledge of Buddhism. So we went down to Dragon Palace, and the dragon king greeted him with a lot of pomp and with utmost respect. And then Nagarjuna went to the library and saw the Avatamsaka Sutra, 3 versions, okay? The long version, middle version, a short version. And Nagarjuna immediately entered samadhi, and he read the long version. He said, wow, the long version of Avatamsaka Sutra, the ultimate knowledge, all the knowledge there is to be known in this universe is right there. Everything you want to know about this universe is in the Avatamsaka Sutra. Nothing is left out. So he read it in samadhi. Okay? There are infinite number of verses. And the only way to read it is to enter samadhi. Okay? So enter samadhi, he read it and say, wow, this is fantastic. And then he read the middle version. Okay? Well, and he says, wow, this is still representative of the long version. But still, human realm, they're very stupid. Okay? So there's no way they can get this. So he memorized a short version, okay, which has, I forgot, maybe 100,000 verses, something like that. Okay? And then he memorized it, and he rushed back to the human realm and wrote it down in Sanskrit. Okay? Okay? And it turns out that, and then later somehow they only kept a small section of that survived, and then that's transmitted to China in Chinese, was translated into Chinese by the Bodhisattvas who appear in the world for that purpose, to share with us the wisdom from the ultimate knowledge. Okay, and it was only transmitted to China in a small number of rolls, like 80 rolls, 80 chapters, or something like that. Okay, and that's what the version we are studying right now from a Chinese is a tiny portion of the teachings of Avatamsaka Sutra. However, it fully represents the extent of the entire teaching. All right? So we owe our Avatamsaka Sutra knowledge to this dragon tree Bodhisattva. Okay? So his name means a dragon, family name is Dragon, and the mom gave birth to him under a tree. Back then in India, when you get married and you're about to give birth, you're supposed to travel back to your parents' household to get support for the birth of your child. Okay? And apparently she probably gave birth to him while on her way back. Okay, miscalculated a little bit. So she gave birth to him under a tree. That's why he's called Dragon Tree. Okay, and he brought it back, and then he founded the school of Madhyamaka. Mika, is it Maka? Mika? Seems to me Madhyamika. Could someone double check the spelling for me, please? Madhyamika, or is it Maka? Anyway, so it's just, he wrote a treatise on the wisdom from the Avatamsaka Sutra, and that's the basis for the school in India called Madhyamika. I remember it's Mika, not Maka. What's taking so long? It takes you that long to Google Madhyamika versus Madhyamaka. Anyway, Maka? Huh?
Wikipedia has it spelled like that, like the slide. Madhyamaka, I've heard.
Madhyamaka. Okay. I stand corrected. So this is correct on the slide. Madhyamaka. And so that's Sanskrit for the middle path. Okay, middle contemplation school. The actual translation should be middle contemplation school. Okay, which is the Mahayana Buddhist wisdom. Yes, YouTube has the answer.
Madhyamika refers to adherents of the Madhyamaka school.
So it is a practitioner, right, of the Madhyamaka school. It's called Madhyamika.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, very good. Okay, so he founded his writings, was a basis for, so he founded the Madhyamaka school, okay, which is back in India, was designed to defeat the two extreme schools of eternalism and annihilationism. Okay, eternalism meaning that there's a school of thought in India back then where it says if you're something, it's forever. So, for example, if you're human, you'll always be a human in the future. If you're a dog, in the future, you can only be a dog. Okay, that's eternalism. Annihilationism is the opposite. It says after you die, everything is annihilated. Everything returns to emptiness, so it doesn't matter anymore. Okay, so either way, either schools of thoughts are called extreme views because they're all erroneous. They're counter to the law of cause and effect. You are what your past karmas created. Okay. All right. So this cool thought here in India was very, very powerful. Wei Mountain has a question.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Go Green.
Oh, okay. Master, when I was in college, I had a class on existentialism, and they were pretty much stories of people with extreme views, and it was all extreme views, either eternalism or annihilationism, and people seem to, revere these writers who wrote about these extreme views. And I think that's one problem a lot of people have these days, because I was in that class and I was really upset the whole time about these philosophies that had no basis in reality.
All right, so that's the nature of worldly knowledge. Worldly knowledge is based on a lot of unsubstantiated facts. Okay, either the duration they observe this manifestation are too short, whereas with the Buddha eye, you can see from beginning to end. That's why you see the entire picture. So that's why worldly knowledge, what people call facts, are actually small knowledge, limited knowledge. That knowledge only valid for a limited amount of time and limited amount of domain. Okay, whereas Buddha's eyes is timeless and it spans. It's valid for the entire universe. For example, the Buddhist knowledge, Buddhist wisdom, holds true for anywhere in the universe, not just in our world. Okay, so that's why that's a difference between worldly knowledge and Buddhist wisdom. Buddhist wisdom is timeless. Okay, where worldly knowledge is probably valid for temporarily only. Okay. Way Mountain. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So we owe our Avatamsaka Sutra to this fourth crown Bodhisattva. That's his contribution to Mahayana Buddhism. Until he came along, we didn't have this kind of wisdom in the human realm. Okay? Even after he brought it back. Okay? For him to write Madhyamaka school, to us, it's still pretty shallow understanding. And that's why when Buddhism moved from India to China, Madhyamaka school of thought is not as influential as the Chinese Bodhisattva, the Bodhisattvas who appeared in China, who founded all the schools. That's why the Chinese are ruthless. They said, this Indian kind of wisdom is not good, is not deep enough for us. We have our own. Okay? The same thing. In a way, personally, I wish I could understand Sanskrit and go back to India and so forth. But actually, there's no need for that, because actually the Chinese Buddhism is extremely profound. There's so many great Chinese Bodhisattvas who appear in the world, who taught the Tian Tai school, who taught the Avatamsaka school. If you take the Avatamsaka school and compare those teachings to the Madhyamaka school, I haven't done it yet, but my theory is that there's no comparison. Why? Why not? Because for Dragon Tree to write up and for something called Madhyamaka, his wisdom is only the fourth crown Bodhisattva. Whereas the Qingliang, great master Qingliang, is actually at least a great Bodhisattva, if not a Buddha. Because to me, why would a Buddha allow a low-level Bodhisattva try to explain to us the Avatamsaka Sutra? Bodhisattva cannot understand the realm of the Avatamsaka Sutra. That's to be realistic, okay? There's no way for any Bodhisattva to understand it. How could the Buddhas let a Bodhisattva become an expert in the highest form of teachings in Mahayana? So therefore, my guess, my gut feeling tells me that Master Qingliang has to be a transformation body Bodhisattva. Buddha. Way Mountain.
I did some research on the Avatamsaka school that Master Qingliang is from, and that school was around the same time as the Weiyang school in China. Do you know much about the Avatamsaka school, or do you only know about Master Qingliang?
I don't know much about the Avatamsaka school. Okay. I read up on that a little bit, and I saw how Master Qingliang is like the fourth patriarch, and so forth. I was not interested in history. I was more interested in the depth of the teaching. Okay. So for me personally, to learn about Master Qingliang's teaching is way beyond my understanding already. So I'm very, very practical. That's enough to keep me occupied for my lifetime. Okay? So maybe next lifetime I branch out. But now I admit that I can't handle even Master Qingliang's teachings. Okay? Just like I don't dare touch, Chan Master YongMingShou, okay, who is a Pure Land patriarch. He wrote 3 books this thick, okay, literally in Chinese. I read about half a page on the first volume, and I was going crazy already. I said, no, this is advanced level Shrangama Chan teaching by a Pure Land patriarch. I said, that's enough. I recognize my limitation, forget it, I'm not going to touch this. Okay? So no one there translates from Chinese to English, by the way, that teaching, or Vietnamese. Are you crazy? People would be crazy to translate the Shrangama Sutra. That, I can give you some credit, but I dare any of you to try to translate Master YongMingShou's teaching. Actually, he's a transformation body of Amitabha Buddha. That's why. So just he came to our world to show us even Pure Land is so advanced, more advanced than most Chan masters can understand. So don't you ever dare Chan people say that Chan is better than Pure Land. Not at all. Okay? Anyway, so I must admit to you, my interest is more not in the theoretical, the theory side of it, or because I don't need to certify you to have a PhD or whatever, okay, for you to teach, okay. Our interest is more into developing your wisdom to help you open your own wisdom, okay. There's plenty of universities and professors who can help you and certify your knowledge. That's not us. Our knowledge are not meant to be certified by scholars. Our knowledge are certified by Bodhisattvas and Buddhas. So, if you will, there's another parallel path where the certification also occurs in our world, but not by the scholars, but it's by Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Okay? So that's the kind of Buddhism we have in the world right now. The one that's certified by scholars, and the one that's certified by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Okay? So we leave the certification and the diplomas to the universities. That's what they do. For us, we want to go on through the other ladder where the certification comes from the patriarchs and the Buddhas. All right, any other questions or comments? Be clear about it. That's why I'm surprised, actually, personally, that when I heard Master Hsuan disciples relate to us that Master Hsuan, before he died, he asked his disciples that anyone who wanted to get a PhD, he would support them and pay for that. And many of them did. To me, at this day, I still don't understand why he would do that, because that's not really what our skills are for. Our skills are for to get the real certification, not the worldly certification. We are not into that world. And it turns out some of them who went for PhDs and got degrees from good institutions, okay, they came back. I look at them, I said, you spend years of your life studying for this worldly certification, whereas when your level is not high enough, you should have devoted. If you were my disciple, I would have not advised you to do that. I would rather you spend 3 years, 4 years, 7 years of your life, 10 years of life to work towards certifications of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. That's just my personal preference, that's all. So for you, my disciples in the future, you want to get a certification from schools, universities, I will not support you. You can plan all you want. That's not why we're here. Our path is to get certified by the Bodhisattvas. Okay? Let's get this straight. All right. Next. Great Worthies had it published in the Eastern Expanse. Worthies. Worthies, the great Worthies, Master Jing Liang is giving high praises for the people who touched the Avatamsaka Sutra, especially those who published it in China. Eastern Expanse is the old name for China. And he says only the people who were involved in the propagation and the translation and transcription and the copying of the sutras in China back then are the great worthies. That's what he's telling us. Okay? In China, there used to have Indian monks who traveled from India to China, who knew Sanskrit, who then learned Chinese, and for the purpose of translating the Avatamsaka Sutra from Sanskrit into Chinese. Those are great worthies, according to Master Jing Liang. Okay? It's an act of sacrifice, because these monks, they did that with very little rewards, let's face it. Okay? And there are a couple of very famous ones. Buddhabhadra was the first Indian monk who made the first significant translation of the Avatamsaka Sutra. Okay, apparently, I'm told, and I can't verify this, and there are different stories, different versions. Apparently, this Buddhabhadra is a third stage arhat. Can you imagine? Only a third stage arhat? And you were translating it. And then later, our version is from Shikshananda translation. Shikshananda apparently is a little bit higher level. So he completed, he translated, he did a better translation and more of it. Okay? So his translation is the basis of the Chinese Avatamsaka Sutra version. Okay? And these monks translated and propagated this important sutra so that now we have a chance to study it. Okay? All right. It's rare indeed to be able to discuss it, let alone we have a great patriarch like Master YongHua who would elaborate it for us. And he did something that's very unusual. He explained it in layman's terms. Okay, if you read Master Jing Liang and and the other explanation is rather scholarly, very difficult to understand. Master YongHua was the only monk I know of who would dare, the only patriarch in recent memory, in last few centuries, who would dare explain the Avatamsaka Sutra. He explained all of them, all the volumes, all the chapters, which is a work of art. And he explained it in simple terms, layman's terms. So it's really a delight to listen to it. I used to listen to it in Chinese every day, okay, and then have it translated into English. Couldn't understand the Chinese, but loved the sound of it. So it's very rare for us to be able to have an explanation in this sutra. The enlightened monks would know better than try to explain this. Because when you try to explain this, you only reveal your stupidity. Okay? That's why and so that includes me. I'm only doing this because there are things in the sutra, in Master Ching Liang's teaching, that Master YongHua did not elaborate. And I feel that you, third generation, deserve to know about these important Dharma doors. Okay? Apparently, Master YongHua didn't feel that my generation deserves, is worthy of it. I feel you're worthy of it. That's why I'm explaining this. So what we're doing is actually adding more of the knowledge from the Master Ching Liang's teachings into English, so that you, third generation Mahayana in the West, will be able to ascend to higher levels than my generation, hopefully. Okay? All right. Any questions or comments? Doesn't mean anything to you, huh? See, that shows you. Maybe I shouldn't be explaining this to you either. Maybe your level is too low. Okay, 177. But we have time, we have time. I'm holding out hope that you will feel that yourself worthy of it. I feel you are, but apparently you have no self-confidence whatsoever. So that's why we make it a point for you. I make it a point for you to surpass my teacher's disciples first, to make sure to position you for, for further advancements. All right? Yeah. Preface text. Considering that in the proper Dharma age, its pure glory still remains concealed, how fortunate that in semblance and final times, this profound teaching is happened upon.
故为正法之代，上逆清辉，幸灾相继之时，偶思玄化。
Okay, this profound here, this should be one sentence. Where am I? I can't move this. This profound, there's no period in front of this. It's one sentence. Does it make sense? Okay, 178. Considering that in a proper Dharma age, its pure glory still remains concealed. Here's what happened. Proper Dharma age is the time when the Buddha is in the world, plus another 500 years after he died. Okay? So it's characterized by the fact that people in that proper Dharma age, when they cultivate it, they became enlightened. The majority of them would become enlightened, meaning they reach fourth stage, Arhat or higher. That's a fact. That's why they call it proper Dharma age. Okay? These people are superior individuals. If you become enlightened, in my book, you're superior. You're not enlightened, you're not superior. How's that? Okay? So during this time here, during the proper Dharma age, people became enlightened without the Avatamsaka Sutra. Can you see the analogy? that it says the pure glory. Pure glory here refers to the fact that it is not known. Its brilliance, its depth, its profundity, its superior teaching is not appreciated, is not recognized. So the pure glory is not to happen, okay? Because it was deemed that these people during the proper Dharma age are not worthy to receive the teaching. Okay? In our world, it's not until now, during the Nagarjuna era, where they decided that it's time to unbury this profound Buddhist knowledge in the Avatamsaka Sutra. That's why he had to go down to the depth of the ocean and break him back up in the human realm. Okay? And that's only retrieved about during the semblance age, 700 years after the Buddha's nirvana. So far, so good. So this Bodhisattva says, wow, yeah, you guys realize that this knowledge is concealed for the first wave of disciples of Shakyamuni Buddha, the superior ones, superior disciples, were not privy to this knowledge. Okay? Next, 179. How fortunate that in semblance final times, this profound teaching is happened upon. In semblance, the next era is semblance Dharma era. That is the next 500 years. So that's why during that time, during that era, this Avatamsaka Sutra was surfaced into the human realm. Okay, and now it stays in our final time, or Dharma ending era, where the Dharma is disappearing. Okay. All right. So, what is a semblance era? Semblance era, in that era, YouTube has a question.
Tian Guo asks, Master, for all those who cultivate under you, what percentage of them become enlightened, and how long did it take them to achieve enlightenment?
You really want to embarrass me, don't you? If you ask them, my disciples, you ask them, are you enlightened? And the answer you get from a survey is that none of them became enlightened. So yes, it's embarrassing. Okay? But you ask me, okay, my answer is that more than 0%. Because I try to oversell a little bit more than I should. Okay? It's a very personal question. Go back to China. Please. Okay, so, but in the spirit of the question, the semblance era is the era where people cultivated just as vigorously, but they don't become enlightened. What did they do? Their cultivation is in building temples. Okay? That's what happened. The semblance era, they don't have these wherewithal to sit and meditate like during the proper Dharma age anymore. They are too restless. They cannot sit for a long, long time. So they have to go and build temples. Sounds familiar? They go build Gold Forest, they build Jewel Mountain. Okay? And because that's a semblance era. When you build temples, you basically are restless. Because if you're truly a Weiyang lineage, you will be sitting in a mountain like Master Lingyo, our founders. They sat in the mountain, they said, no, I'm not moving. Okay, I'm not building no temples, mind you. Master Lingyo, even people came to give him money and said, I ain't moving, I'm not getting up. You have to build it for me. And that's the Weiyang spirit, okay? We don't move. Okay, but in this Dharma in Dharma semblance age, people couldn't sit, so they had to go do something useful for Buddhism. So they work. They install electricity. They work on the sewage. They tamp the ground. Okay, and they roof the buildings and so forth. Okay, and that's Dharma semblance age activities. Okay, that's what they do. Okay, and it turns out, in the spirit of Tian Guo's question, some of them do become enlightened because of those activities. You understand? Now I reveal to you. When Master Hsuan explained it, he says, no, they don't become enlightened anymore. No. The secret is that instead, can we not tell the Chinese? Because I don't think the Chinese know this. Okay? The Chinese version is that in semblance age, they don't become enlightened anymore. There are very few of them become enlightened. But however, let me tell you, I observed Master YongHua's disciples. Not me. I'm not among them. Okay, I'm like a reject. They kicked me out. Losers. Excuse me. I'm too bitter about it, clearly. You can see it. Okay. But what happened is that Master YongHua, you observed it, I observed this, I love this. Master YongHua, when he brought Mahayana to the West, okay, how many of his disciples meditated and became enlightened? I can think of only a handful, less than 5. Okay? Less than 4. Can I go further? My fingers are getting shorter and shorter. Okay? You see? So what happened is that what Master YongHua did is actually, he called it proper Dharma age. It's not true. It's semblance age. Because all they did was build temples. You see that? Okay? Now, he established temples. And he's actually, just between us, okay? Because he says, I brought the proper Dharma age to this country. Not true. He built temples, did he? That's it. When the Buddha's in the world, okay, they didn't build any temples, did they? His disciples did not build temples. Agree or disagree? Okay? The true disciples of Shakyamuni Buddha did not build temples. They and they became enlightened. Okay? That's a proper Dharma age. We crossed our legs in full lotus and we became enlightened. Okay? No temples. But then Master YongHua brought the Dharma to the West. Okay? And he built a lot of temples. By the time he died, he had about close to 30 way places throughout the world. 30. Okay? Over a span of 50 years. Okay? He himself built a lot of temples. Okay? So my theory, okay, and now I have an itch on top of my head. It's not a good sign. He's probably standing behind me. Hey boy, watch what you're saying. And to me, I observed that his disciples were building temples and they became enlightened. Okay? And many of them, some of them became enlightened by working, not by meditating. Okay? And that's the idea behind the semblance age. Meaning that they still became enlightened by building temples. Because when my master explained this semblance age, he made it appear as if they only build temples. They only know how to build temples. It's not true, because I observed from his disciples. Okay? His disciples became enlightened by building temples, not by meditating, because none of them sits more than 10 hours a day. Very rare. Okay? Think about it. We are a Wei-Yang lineage, and there's a famous monk there, a rock star, who tells me, I never sit more than 8 hours a day. After I sat for 16 hours, he came to me in lunch hall and said, that's foolish. I never sit more than 8 hours a day. I said, I look at him and gave him a dirty look. I said, oh, that's him. Careful. So we never got along after that. I would call it nervous abuse. Never mind. Okay. So to me, people who became enlightened by building temples in the semblance age, because that's what happened under Master Xunhua. I would not call his as proper Dharma age. I call his as a semblance age. He's building temples. That's how people became, his disciples became enlightened. Okay? Yeah, I can think of a few. Okay. And finally, there's a Dharma ending age where people no longer really become enlightened anymore. Okay? No matter what you do, they don't become enlightened. That's our era. Okay? And so these eras are measured by the people who become enlightened and how they become enlightened to me. Okay? Not simply building temples or Dharma disappearing, all those things. Okay? Questions or comments? Okay. So again, folks, the bottom line in Mahayana is that we're teaching all these things in order to see who's going to become enlightened and how you're going to become enlightened. Jewel Mountain has a question.
Jewel Mountain asks, in the sutras, it's mentioned that Buddha's important disciples were certified to 4th-stage arhat. But does it mention about them becoming bodhisattvas?
Depends on which sutras. When you read the Agama Sutras, they are all certified to sound hearer positions. And that's what they call enlightenments. In Mahayana Sutras, we don't call them enlightenment. They call them 4th-stage arhat, a small enlightenment. And below that, we don't consider them to be enlightenment because we feel that it's pretty dense, what they know. Okay? If you ask me, I feel 4th-stage arhat is pretty dense. Okay? In what sense? I see so many 4th-stage arhats being fooled by the depression ghosts, for example. You think it's so hot. How come they pull your strings you don't even know? So to me, it's pretty small wisdom. Okay, not very useful. But when you go to Mahayana, like my master, my Chinese master, my Shishino who brought it here, enlightenment now takes on very clear criteria. enlightenment here, okay, is what? What is enlightenment to us? Enlightenment in Mahayana, YouTube has a question.
Tian Guo asks, Master, it seems like people cultivate under you can sit and meditate very long and achieve fruition. So does this mean the proper Dharma is present at your temples?
The what Dharma? The proper Dharma?
The proper Dharma.
We'd like to think so. Is it Tian Guo again?
Yes, it was Tian Guo.
This woman is after my soul. You want me to mortgage my future? Okay? Keep asking questions the way someday we'll ban you. Okay. In Mahayana, okay, in my humble opinion, okay, enlightenment is something that is certified by the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, no one else. Okay, it's not meant for a third party to know. It's not meant for the world to know about you, and so that the world can come and learn from you. Doesn't work like that. So anyone who can hang a diploma, something on the wall, or a photo on the wall, okay, that is not Buddhist certification. Buddhist certification, again, is person to person. That's it. Only you know, only your certifying master knows. That's it. And no one else is supposed to know. Okay? And the reason why there's distinction to me between the proper Dharma age, the semblance age, and the Dharma ending age, the final age, as much as Qing Liang calls it, is the method, how to get there. And you look historically, what happened. Proper Dharma age, they crossed their legs. They meditated. That's why they became enlightened very quickly. All right? Number 2, proper Dharma age, what happens? You have, when the Buddha is in the world, he was teaching certain teaching left and right. No one even called it certain teaching until much later. They didn't call it certain teaching. The Buddha said, this is what I teach you. Okay? Later, not until later, you move to Chinese, so China, and the Chinese started calling the certain teaching and so forth, because it's popularized by Master Huineng. Okay? But he exemplifies, personifies certain teaching, and glorified it to me. It's a glorious way he used that Dharma to train his pupils. Okay? So it's how you become enlightened. In the proper Dharma age, you cross your legs and you go through the certain teaching. Okay? When the semblance age, you get enlightened by how? By creating merit and virtue. That's what it means. You build a temple that generates tremendous amount of blessings. When you do that, when you build temples, you help out in the building of temples, you accrue a lot of blessings. That's how they became enlightened. And that's how Master YongHua disciples became enlightened, by helping propagate Mahayana and building temples. They did not specialize in Chan, like during the proper Dharma age. Maybe 1 or 2 specialized. See, I whittled down from 5 to 1 or 2 now. See that? It's very rare for people to be able to cross your legs like that. No more than 8 hours a day. That's not proper Dharma age. Okay? So, you see, so the semblance age, the concept behind the semblance Dharma age is that you create a lot of merit and virtue. That's how you become enlightened. You don't necessarily need to cross your legs anymore. That's what happened. Master Hsuan disciples, I noticed that. They help translate, okay? They help build temples, okay? They help, what else did they do? I don't know what they did, okay? Whatever they did, okay, it's more like semblance age Dharma than a proper age. So to me, Master Hsuan claimed that he's teaching proper Dharma, not predominantly. His Dharma is predominantly semblance age. Okay? Well, they kick me out so I can say anything I want. Let's face it. Okay, I'm still bitter. So that's what happened. And then during the Dharma ending age, okay, that no one believes anymore. At least in the semblance age, people believed. They really believed. That's why they pitched in. Dharma ending age, no one believed. He said, you are nonsense. You have no proof. You have no diploma. Okay? So now the unenlightened people have more influence over the cultivators. Okay? They don't believe anything, so they said, you have to follow our way, not yours. So we want facts, we want proof, we want big temples, we want masses. Okay? So now, look at like a pyramid. Okay? In the proper age, you have a very limited, on the top, very limited number of people who can become enlightened. Because they have to meditate. Okay? And then the semblance age, now you have a little bit lower. Now you still get people who are enlightened, but it's through the blessings. And what happened? The secret. Can we talk about it? Because he's dead already. It's too late. So what happened is that his disciples became enlightened because they helped him. It's not the temples. It's not the translation. It's not the education. It's not the boys' school or girls' school. These people, okay, don't tell them, okay? Don't quote me, please. These people, they have one thing that we don't have. They have faith in Master Hsuan. Whatever he says, they believed. He says, I want you to help me translate to English. They did. Okay? I want you to open a way place in Maryland. They went. I want you to bow. And they went about. Okay? I want you to sit. No one sat. See, so he said so many things. So observe it. You see that it's not the methodology. It's the fact that he says, I need a temple. Without a temple, no one will take me seriously. So these people build temples for him. And that's how they became enlightened. They have so many blessings. Okay? And what proof do I have? What happened after he died? No one became enlightened anymore. Because they got no one to help. Second patriarch is hiding somewhere. Okay? So, before, when Master Hsing was alive, he says, I need a temple, I need some sutras, I need a translation, I need a cassette tape, I need some food for my people, I need clothes, I need so forth. And these people say, oh, Master Hsing needs it, therefore, I will sell my own daughter so that I can give him money to pay for his toothpaste for his monks. Serious. Any of you would do that? Absolutely not, right? No way, okay? His followers like that. He even had, I remember at one point he said, I know this is just gossiping, okay? I remember listening to this. He was hiding somewhere in San Francisco, Chinatown, and he got his first mattress factory, old factory, rundown factory, as a real building for him, okay? Before that, he was basically an apartment house someone gave him, and no real Buddha hall. So now they have this mattress factory, rundown factory, unoccupied for years. He took it over, and with dust and mold and mildew, people clean it up, and so that he had a Buddha hall. Okay, and I remember him, he says, in his Chan lecture, he says, well, I'm very happy we have a new place. It's big, has a lot of bricks. It's pretty dirty and everything, but it has good bones, okay? And this is what I want you to do. Are you ready? He says, I want you to give me money. I said, huh? You asking for money? No, he asked in a very strange way. He says, I want you, not to give money. He says, I want you, okay, to help the way place. If this year you plan to go on vacation, skip your vacation. Okay, so that you can help the triple jewel. Okay, he almost came to the point that you should sell your children to raise funds as well. But he never went that far. But basically, he says, so he asking his people to make sacrifices. And these people really believed him. And he has this charisma, okay, that his disciples are very, very loyal to him. And so these people made sacrifices. And that's why these people became enlightened through working, through making sacrifices, not through cultivation. Okay? So that's why I call semblance Dharma era, not proper Dharma era. Okay? And then after he died, what happened? There's no one who says, I need you to make sacrifices for me. I need you to do this, I need you to do that. Okay? Because when you do that for me, you are getting blessings from me. Not from anyone else. It's from me. Okay? And because his level, the blessing you earn from helping him are so tremendous, so many, that you can become enlightened by merely doing that. So after he died, people who contributed by continuing to educate, by translating and so forth. Okay? For who? For no one. That's why they don't have the Dharma to become enlightened anymore. Boy, I'm revealing their secrets. They're not going to be happy with me. They said, sacrilegious, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's a reject. Don't listen to him. Okay, spies, go ahead and shoot at me. You too. No questions?
Yes, the question was, how do you become enlightened in the Dharma ending age?
Well, I just gave the example of helping Master YongHua. What else you want? That's all I know. YouTube.
Daniel asks, what about the Thai monastic committee certifying arhats? Is there bodhisattvas in the committee?
What committee? Is there a committee that certifies arhats? What does he know that I don't know?
Yeah. A Thai monastic committee.
The Thai, this Canadian accent is killing me. In my humble opinion, okay, I have a lot of respect and fear of the Thai people. The arhats can lose temper very easily. Okay, from what I know. Okay, so I can't reveal you the Thai secrets. Okay, there's a lot more going on than even the Thai arhats realize, for good reason. But it's none of my business to reveal them because they did not reject me. Okay. However, I can tell you with this, from what I've seen, what the people I know a few very competent, very good Thai arhats. I call at least some of them my friends. Okay, and I realize that this Thai committee from Thailand is very qualified. They devise this hierarchy that's very accurate, by the way. So when the Thai hierarchy certifies you, it's for real, it's valid, in my humble opinion. Okay, you can depend on that to be accurate. So it's because the at that level, 4-stage arhat and higher, they do have some who are higher than 4-stage arhat. Okay, that's why they're very, very reliable. They can recognize each other. Okay, if not, they have plenty of tests to help you verify it. Okay, so yes, my short answer is, in my opinion, yes, absolutely. The Thai system of certification is very accurate, and it works. Okay. Jewel Mountain question.
Jewel Mountain asks, those people who sacrifice for Master YongHua, if they sacrifice for Venerable Hengshi, for example, instead, because Master YongHua is gone, would they have a chance to enlighten?
Probably not. But again, I'm biased. Okay. Whatever, Master. Because the facts speak for themselves. They just, they should ask their followers to make sacrifices and see what happens. That's simple. And you think that it hasn't happened yet? It has been 25 years. You think none of them ever made sacrifices without being asked? It's even better than making sacrifices after you ask. You make sacrifices before you asked. That's even much better. And logically speaking, they must have done it already. Did it work? You asked them. I don't know. Okay, none of my business. All right? So again, we are talking a lot, we're saying a lot of things, but the wonderful thing is about this Avatamsaka Sutra is another perspective on how to become enlightened. And you learn the sutra, you go to the sutra, and you see much broader repertoire of Dharma doors through which you can certify to enlightenment. That's the bottom line. Okay? And when you become enlightened, all these things that are taught in the sutra, okay, you verify for yourself. That's what's so cool about this. Okay? And if you don't understand that, that means that you're not a Buddha yet. That's all. So keep at it. All right? Okay, 180. We have 10 more minutes. Moreover, when one meets a sage ruler, obtaining it on Vulture Mountain, exhaustively reflecting on its esoteric meaning, how can one but jump for joy?
况逢圣主，得在灵山，祭司忧中，岂无庆耀？
This comes from the heart. This Bodhisattva here says, if you truly cultivate, on slide 181 commentary, when one meets a sage ruler, meaning after one works so hard, okay, one have developed this faith, unshakable faith, and one grinds it out day after day after day, okay, and suddenly one meets a sage ruler. Sage ruler is back then in China, in the Tang Dynasty, many generation emperors believed in Buddhism. They took refuge and learned about Buddhism from the great monks. Okay, and the only way they knew how is to invite them to the palaces to hear from them. Okay, that's probably not desirable as in the past where the kings and the queens and the emperors would move to the Buddha's lecture hall instead of inviting him to the palace. It's about attitude. It's the same teaching, the same words. But if you have the proper attitude, you get a lot more blessings out of it. You get a lot more out of it. Okay? Same amount of time listening to the Dharma. You have the proper attitude, you get more blessings. You get more wisdoms out of it. Okay? And so this sutra, it was transmitted at the Vulture Mountain, Rajagriha peak, in the magic Vulture peak in India. Okay, this is where it happened, where a lot of inconceivable sutras were transmitted from Shakyamuni Buddha's golden mouth to our human realm. All right? Commentary 182. During Eastern Jin, this is a dynasty in China, Master Huiyuan sent his disciples Chư Phả Lính to Khotan to have Buddha Bhat translate the sutra. And then the Tang Dynasty, the Empress Wu Zetian sent to Central Asia and commissioned Sikshanada to translate it. So this sutra here in China have a history of state sponsorship and have great monks translate into Chinese. So we have really, the Chinese have an incredible treasure in their hands, in their culture, that we are benefiting from. All right? This is the highest level of Chinese wisdom there is. Okay, so you non-Chinese people, remember that. Okay, you want the highest level of wisdom, you have to learn Chinese. There's no way for anyone to translate it for you. Okay, you have to learn Chinese. You have to understand Chinese for you to learn directly from the golden mouth, from the horse's mouth, and that's the best way to access this incredible wisdom from the Buddhas. All right? You yourself have to learn. Okay? Unless you want to make yourself, unless you want to rely on other people, like myself, who has very limited knowledge and wisdom. All right? But it's very important for you to understand that this Dharma here has been translated into Chinese from India already. So rest assured that you have two sources, either Sanskrit or Chinese. You know Sanskrit, by all means, okay, use it. If you learn Chinese, I prefer Chinese because that's the base of my knowledge. Okay, I don't know Sanskrit, so I don't have any choices. Okay, but in the Mahayana actually prospered in China, and we hope that will prosper in the West as well. Okay, the patriarchs like Master YongHua would not come to this country unless it's to help reinvigorate Buddhism for the world. Okay, so we are uniquely in a very, very, very advantageous position in that we can generate a lot of blessings. Okay, by cultivating this Mahayana and this from this wealth of knowledge, this treasure that the Chinese brought to our country. Okay, so that's my teachers, my late Chinese teachers' way of passing on the torch, and I keep on emphasizing to you. Okay, you need to learn Chinese if you want to explore the depth of the teaching. You have to learn Chinese, number one. Okay? Eventually, you have to learn Chinese. You want to get to a high level of Mahayana wisdom, it is in Chinese. It's not translatable. There's no way to translate it. I'll give you an example. I wrote a small book called Pure Land Handbook, being translated finally into Korean. It's done now. It's in the hands of the publisher now in Korea. Okay, what happened is that my translator is pretty good. She has such high standards. She says this is truly one of the first Mahayana texts that's being translated into Korean. So it has to be the best possible, the most accurate possible, and she bugs the heck out of us. And my attitude is that I don't care. There's no such a thing as a perfect translation. You know why not? Why isn't there any perfect translation? Translation depends on your level of comprehension. That's why when I explain Master YongHua's sutras in English, I used to make fun of these English translation. I said, this translation here is actually not correct. Because they translated for his disciples' level, and it's acceptable. But for your level, it's not acceptable to me. Okay? So we had to increase the level of translation, the level of accuracy to more properly reflect the Dharma that you should be practicing. Not in my generation should be practicing. That's the difference. That's why the translation is a work in progress. It depends on the audience. So you translate so much and you throw it out there. And when you practice it and you have questions, that's when you come to the good no advisor who will advise you, give you your own interpretation. That's why there's no proper translation, because you translate it to a high level, the low level will be rejected. They say, I don't know what they're talking about. See that? YouTube question.
Ninjacheckmate asks, Master, when I recite the Buddha's name at night, I feel like I am floating. Are there different temporary states in recitation?
Yes. That's a good state. Keep it up. I hope don't fly too far away from home. Okay? It's not a big deal either. Okay? It's just a good feeling. So what? Okay? Feelings come and go. It's a natural, you could feel good because you're entering samadhi. But if you stay in that samadhi level, it becomes boring to me. My samadhi has to improve, otherwise get bored. It's just like, you don't want to eat the same thing over and over again every day, do you? Today I want banh mi. Tomorrow I want pho. Next day I want pizza. No? You don't want to eat the same dish over and over again. It's the same. I don't know why you reciting Buddha's name, people are so say, I feel so good when I recite the Buddha's name. I said, what's the matter with you? You feel good every day, every now and then is okay, but you feel good every day, something wrong with you. Just like when you get married. Can we talk about it? It's just very near and dear to me. You know, when you get married, okay, it tastes sweet the first day, right? You know what I mean, man. Then we have to start taking out the garbage. Buying washing machine, washer and dryers. And a new car every year. And that's where the joy stops. Okay? So that's what I mean. You know, if you listen to tomorrow's lecture on the 6-page chart, we teach you how to argue and debate and beat up on people. Okay, I'll debate everyone. But it's like, you know, you need to have sunny days makes you look for rainy days. Okay, this morning I came here to San Jose and it was so cloudy and cold. And I said, people are going to eat lunch outdoors. Will you please shine, sun? I don't want people to go, what happened to the heater? Can we go back indoors? That would be ruin our first party outdoors. Okay, so I said, sun, please come out and shine. And sure enough, the sun shined, okay? At 11 o'clock when we had lunch, then what happens? People sat down and said, it's too sunny here in San Jose. I said, why didn't you tell me earlier? You see, that's when, my point here is that when it's sunny too often, you wish for cloudy days. Okay? I came from Southern California where it's it's sunny, you know, where we love more rain. So that's why I'm always ready for more rains. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, and you feel good reciting Buddha's name. Good for you, but don't be stuck there. Okay? My idea is that it's like in most marriages, you appreciate marital bliss more when your wife tortures you more. No? Okay, that's enough politics for today. Okay, thank you everyone. Let's do rebirth transference. You know, we have 16 people right now. Wan Yin just gave me 8 more. And she's not talking about money yet. Wan Yin is so, no comment. I know my limitations. I do not want to offend Wan Yin, my favorite Bodhisattva. Okay, next time we do, next slide. Thank you, everyone.